Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we explore rare coins, unexpected treasures in your pocket change, and stories from the world of coin collecting that will make you rethink the money in your hands. Rarest coins. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a fascinating and surprising story, the story of the 1981 D. Washington quarter dollar. This is a coin that most people overlook, a coin that millions of Americans have used in vending machines, parking meters, or tossed into change jars without a second thought. But hidden among those ordinary coins is one very special quarter. A rare version of the 1981 D. Washington quarter has reportedly sold for a staggering $1.4 million. That's right. A coin minted for just 25 cents turned into a multi-million-dollar find. What makes this coin so valuable? How can a common-looking quarter be worth that much? And more importantly, how can you tell if you might be holding one in your own collection? Let's start from the beginning. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932, created to honor the 200th birthday of the first president of the United States, George Washington. The design, which features a left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse side, was created by sculptor John Flanagan and became one of the most iconic images in American coinage on the reverse for decades. The design showed a proud eagle standing on a bundle of arrows, a symbol of strength and readiness, with olive branches below representing peace. The 1981 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark just beneath the date on the obverse. That year, over 575 million quarters were produced at the Denver Mint alone. So, by the numbers, this is not a rare coin. In fact, it's incredibly common. You can still find 1981 D quarters in your pocket change today. But here's where it gets interesting. Even among hundreds of millions of coins, mistakes happen. And when those mistakes occur during the minting process, they can create what's called a mint error. Certain rare mint errors are so unusual that they turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a numismatic treasure. And that's exactly what happened with the 1981 D quarter that made headlines. This particular coin had several extremely rare features. First, it was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly a Susan B. Anthony dollar. That means the coin had the diameter of a quarter, but the metal composition, thickness, or edge reading were not what they should be for a standard quarter. Second, the coin showed signs of a strong double die error. That means the coin's design was impressed twice, with a slight misalignment. On this rare quarter, the doubling was visible in the word liberty, the phrase "in God we trust," and the date 1981. Strong, clear doubling like this is considered highly collectible and extremely rare. Third, and perhaps most importantly, the coin was preserved in absolutely flawless condition. It was submitted to a professional grading service, where it received a grade of MS68. That stands for Mint State 68, nearly perfect, with no visible wear, sharp strikes, and full luster. Very few modern coins ever receive this high of a grade, and when they do, the value skyrockets. When this one-of-kind 1981 D quarter was authenticated, it attracted immediate attention from serious collectors. The unique combination of an off-metal strike, dramatic doubling, and flawless condition made this coin not only rare, but possibly the only known example of its kind. In a private auction, it sold for an unbelievable $1.4 million. Now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. How can you tell if you have one of these rare and valuable 1981 D quarters? Here's what to look for. First, check the mint mark. You're looking specifically for a 1981 quarter with the D mint mark, which indicates it was struck in Denver. Next, examine the coin for signs of doubling. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to look closely at the word liberty, the motto "In God we trust," and the date 1981. If any of the letters or numbers appear to have shadows, thick lines, or doubling, you may have a double die variety. Now look at the coin's weight and metal. A standard 1981 D quarter should weigh approximately 5.67 grams and have a reeded edge with visible copper between two layers of nickel. If your coin looks silvery all the way through or weighs more or less than expected, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet, which could be a major error. Also consider the coin's overall condition. Coins in circulated condition may have some value if they include an error, but the coins that sell for massive amounts are those in mint state condition, typically MS65 or higher. If your coin shows full luster, no wear, and sharp detail, it could be worth getting graded. If you believe you have something unusual, don't try to clean the coin. That can damage it and reduce its value. Instead, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. They'll inspect the coin under magnification, determine if it has rare features, and assign it a grade. This is essential if you want to sell the coin or understand its true market value. Even if you don't have a $1 million coin, certain 1981 D quarters with minor doubling or mint errors have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially in high grades. The point is, this is a coin worth looking at twice. You don't need to be a professional collector to find rare coins. All it takes is curiosity, attention to detail, and sometimes a little luck. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. The thrill of discovery is always just one coin away, before you throw that next handful of change into a tip jar or vending machine. Take a second look. That quarter you're holding might be worth more than you ever imagined. That's it for today's video. If you found this story interesting, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We bring you the latest in rare coin finds, hidden treasures, and valuable collectibles hiding in everyday places. And if you've ever found a rare coin or want to learn how to start checking your change more closely, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your stories and answer your questions. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy hunting. If you'd like a follow-up version with visual cues or timestamps for editors, just let me know. This script can also be adapted for a YouTube short or Instagram reel if you want a shorter format. Welcome back to the Rarest Coins. If you're passionate about coin collecting or just curious about the hidden value of everyday money, you're in for something special. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1996 P. Washington quarter dollar, a coin you've probably seen 1,000 times, spent without thinking, or let sit in a jar for years. But what if I told you that one version of this exact coin, minted in Philadelphia, is reportedly worth an astonishing $1.6 million? That's right. A coin that was minted for just 25 cents ended up being sold for over $1.5 million. It's not a myth. It's not just a rumor. It's a real story backed by rarity, error, condition, and demand. So let's explore exactly why the 1996 P. Washington quarter became one of the most sought-after and talked about coins in modern American numismatics. Let's begin with the history of the coin itself. The Washington quarter has been a core part of U.S. coinage since 1932. It was originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse of the coin features a left-facing bust of Washington, while the reverse carried the classic eagle design for decades until the State Quarters series began in 1999. Now the 1996 P quarter. That P under the date stands for the Philadelphia Mint. In that year, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 925 million Washington quarters. That's nearly 1 billion coins, making this one of the most common dates for modern quarters. So you might be wondering, how can such a common coin possibly be worth over $1 million? Here's where things get interesting. In coin collecting, rarity isn't always about how many coins were made. It's about how many coins exist in perfect condition, or how many were struck with mistakes that slipped past quality control. These are called mint errors, and some of them are so unusual and rare that they can turn an ordinary-looking coin into a national treasure. The 1996 P quarter that reportedly sold for $1.6 million had a set of extreme and nearly impossible to replicate characteristics that sent collectors into a frenzy. First, the coin was struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of being minted on a quarter blank, a copper-nickel-clad disc, this coin was struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin. During that period, the U.S. Mint produced coins for other countries, and occasionally, blanks from those batches would accidentally end up in presses for U.S. coins. This 1996 P quarter was struck on a planchet composed of a different metal alloy, giving it an unusual color and sound. That alone made it a serious error worth thousands. Second, the coin displayed a dramatic double die error on the obverse. That means it was struck twice by the dies used to imprint the design, but each impression was slightly misaligned. On this coin, the doubling was clear in the word Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date 1996. A strong double die adds thousands to a coin's value, especially when it's dramatic and easy to see without magnification. And third, this particular quarter was found in nearly flawless condition. It was submitted to a professional grading service and received a grade of MS 68, Mint State 68. That means it has virtually no wear, perfect strike definition, and full mint luster. Coins in this grade are extremely rare, especially those with errors. Most coins are handled, circulated, or scratched within days of production. So finding one like this is almost like discovering a diamond in your change. It's the combination of these three traits, a foreign planchet error, strong double die, and a near-perfect grade, that made this 1996 P quarter so unique. When it was offered at auction, it caught the attention of elite collectors. The final sale price? An incredible $1.6 million. So how can you tell if you might have one of these rare and valuable coins? Here's what to look for. First, flip the coin and check the mint mark. Make sure it says 1996 with a small letter P beneath the date. That confirms it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Next, check for signs of doubling on the obverse. Look closely at the letters in Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the numbers in the date 1996. If any of the characters look thicker, shadowed, or appear to have been stamped twice, you might have a double die. Now examine the coin's weight and color. A normal 1996 P quarter should weigh 5.67 grams and have a copper-nickel appearance with a visible copper core when viewed from the edge. If your coin weighs slightly more or less, or has an unusual tone, maybe golden, silvery without copper showing, or grayish, it might be struck on the wrong planchet. And of course, condition is key. If the coin looks brand new, with sharp edges, full luster, and no scratches or wear, it might be worth sending it in for grading. Grading is done by professional companies like PCGS or NGC. They will confirm authenticity, identify any mint errors, and assign an official grade. This step is essential if you ever plan to sell the coin or insure it as part of a collection. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, there are still 1996 P quarters with smaller errors that are worth real money. Off-center strikes, weak strikes, and even die cracks have been known to sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars, especially in uncirculated condition. So here's the bottom line. The next time you go through your spare change, pay special attention to the quarters. That 1996 P coin you've been ignoring could be worth far more than 25 cents. In the world of coins, it's not just about age. It's about errors, condition, and the story behind how the coin came to be. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about rare coins hiding in plain sight, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We bring you amazing coin discoveries, collector tips, and real stories of people who turn spare change into serious cash. Have you ever found a rare or unusual coin? Let us know in the comments. And if you've got a 1996 P quarter lying around, maybe it's time to take a closer look. Thanks for watching. And as always, happy hunting. If you'd like this script broken into timestamps for editing or formatted for short-form platforms like YouTube Shorts or TikTok, I can provide that too. Just let me know. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the world of rare coins, specifically the 1990 D Washington quarter dollar. It may sound like just another coin you'd find in your change jar, but one rare example of this very quarter has reportedly sold for over $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.10 turned into over a rarest coins. How is that even possible? Let's break it all down. The coin's history. The important details. What makes a 1990 D quarter valuable? And most importantly, how to spot one of these incredibly rare errors that could make you rich. First, let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse side shows a left-facing portrait of Washington, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan. It became one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. By 1990, the Washington quarter had seen a few subtle changes, but the overall design remained the same. On the obverse, you'll still find Washington's portrait, the word Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," the date 1990, and below it, the mint mark D for the Denver Mint. On the reverse, the iconic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows remained unchanged. In 1990, the Denver Mint struck over 927 million Washington quarters. That's a huge number, making this coin extremely common in circulation. So naturally, most 1990 D quarters are worth just their face value of 25 cents. But every rule has an exception. Among those nearly 1 billion coins, an incredibly rare and unique error was discovered. And that's where the story of the $1 million quarter begins. In coin collecting, the real value often lies in what went wrong. Errors during the minting process can create coins that are totally unique. These mistakes are highly sought after by collectors because they are rare, often one of a kind, and tell a deeper story about how coins are made. The rare 1990 dequarter that reportedly sold for $1.1 million had a stunning combination of features that made it unlike any other. First, it was struck on a planchet that was not intended for a quarter. Instead of the normal copper-nickel-clad planchet used for modern quarters, this one was struck on a pure silver planchet, which had not been in use since 1964 for quarters. That alone made it incredibly rare. Second, the coin showed signs of a dramatic double die error. That means the design was stamped onto the coin twice, slightly misaligned. On this particular coin, the doubling was visible in the word Liberty and in the date 1990. These kinds of dramatic double die errors are rare and can be worth thousands even without other errors. But it didn't stop there. The coin was found in mint state condition. That means it had never been circulated. It showed no signs of wear. In fact, it was graded MS-68 by a professional grading service, which is nearly perfect. Most coins never survive in this kind of condition, especially not ones that end up in people's pockets. So when you combine a silver planchet error, a double die obverse, and near-perfect condition, you get a perfect storm of rarity, collectability, and value. And in a private auction, this coin reportedly sold for over $1.1 million. So what does that mean for you? It means that even in something as ordinary as your loose change, there's a chance, however slim, that you could be holding a small fortune. The trick is knowing what to look for. So here's how you check your 1990 dequarters. First, make sure you actually have the right coin. You're looking for a quarter from 1990 with a D mint mark. That D should be clearly visible beneath the date. Next, check the coin's weight. A standard quarter from 1990 should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly heavier or lighter, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. Silver planchets, for example, weigh a bit more, around 6.25 grams. A small kitchen scale or digital coin scale can help you with this. Now look at the edges. A normal 1990 dequarter will have a reeded edge, and you'll see the copper core sandwich between the nickel layers. If your coin appears silver all the way through and lacks that copper stripe, it may be struck on a silver planchet. Now for the big one. Look closely at the lettering, especially Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. If you see any signs of doubling, especially clear and strong doubling, that could mean you have a double die variety. Finally, examine the overall condition. A coin with heavy wear isn't likely to be worth much, even if it has a small error. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the world of rare coins, specifically the 1990 D Washington quarter dollar. It may sound like just another coin you'd find in your change jar, but one rare example of this very quarter has reportedly sold for over $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.10 turned into over a rarest coins. How is that even possible? Let's break it all down. The coin's history, the important details, what makes a 1990 dequarter valuable, and most importantly, how to spot one of these incredibly rare errors that could make you rich. First, let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse side shows a left-facing portrait of Washington, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan. It became one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. By 1990, the Washington quarter had seen a few subtle changes, but the overall design remained the same. On the obverse, you'll still find Washington's portrait, the word Liberty, the motto In God We Trust, the date 1990, and below it, the mint mark D for the Denver Mint. On the reverse, the iconic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows remained unchanged. In 1990, the Denver Mint struck over 927 million Washington quarters. That's a huge number, making this coin extremely common in circulation. So naturally, most 1990 dequarters are worth just their face value of 25 cents. But every rule has an exception. Among those nearly 1 billion coins, an incredibly rare and unique error was discovered. And that's where the story of the $1 million quarter begins. In coin collecting, the real value often lies in what went wrong. Errors during the minting process can create coins that are totally unique. These mistakes are highly sought after by collectors because they are rare, often one of a kind, and tell a deeper story about how coins are made. The rare 1990 dequarter that reportedly sold for $1.1 million had a stunning combination of features that made it unlike any other. First, it was struck on a planchet that was not intended for a quarter. Instead of the normal copper-nickel-clad planchet used for modern quarters, this one was struck on a pure silver planchet, which had not been in use since 1964 for quarters. That alone made it incredibly rare. Second, the coin showed signs of a dramatic double-die error. That means the design was stamped onto the coin twice, slightly misaligned. On this particular coin, the doubling was visible in the word Liberty and in the date 1990. These kinds of dramatic double-die errors are rare and can be worth thousands even without other errors. But it didn't stop there. The coin was found in mint state condition. That means it had never been circulated. It showed no signs of wear. In fact, it was graded MS-68 by a professional grading service, which is nearly perfect. Most coins never survive in this kind of condition, especially not ones that end up in people's pockets. So when you combine a silver planchet error, a double-die obverse, and near-perfect condition, you get a perfect storm of rarity, collectability, and value. And in a private auction, this coin reportedly sold for over $1.1 million. So what does that mean for you? It means that even in something as ordinary as your loose change, there's a chance, however slim, that you could be holding a small fortune. The trick is knowing what to look for. So here's how you check your 1990 D quarters. First, make sure you actually have the right coin. You're looking for a quarter from 1990 with a D mint mark. That D should be clearly visible beneath the date. Next, check the coin's weight. A standard quarter from 1990 should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly heavier or lighter, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. Silver planchets, for example, weigh a bit more, around 6.25 grams. A small kitchen scale or digital coin scale can help you with this. Now look at the edges. A normal 1990 D quarter will have a reeded edge, and you'll see the copper core sandwich between the nickel layers. If your coin appears silver all the way through and lacks that copper stripe, it may be struck on a silver planchet. Now for the big one. Look closely at the lettering, especially Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. If you see any signs of doubling, especially clear and strong doubling, that could mean you have a double-die variety. Finally, examine the overall condition. A coin with heavy wear isn't likely to be worth much, even if it has a small error. But a coin in mint state condition, especially one that has never been circulated, is much more valuable. If you think you have a special coin, it's important to get it authenticated and graded by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will examine the coin under magnification, determine its condition, and verify if it has a rare error. A graded coin will also be easier to sell if it turns out to be valuable. Even if your coin isn't worth $1 million, it could still be worth hundreds or even thousands if it has a significant error or is in exceptional condition. So 1990 D quarters with minor mint errors have sold for over $500, and those with strong doubling can fetch several thousand. Coin collecting isn't just about history, it's about discovery. And sometimes, that discovery can lead to life-changing value. So don't ignore the quarters in your drawer or in your car cup holder. Take a closer look. You never know what kind of hidden treasure you might find. That wraps up today's video. If you learned something new or you're going to start checking your pocket change a little more closely, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We bring you coin stories, hidden rarities, and tips for finding real value in everyday places. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a rare or unusual coin. We love hearing your stories and sharing them with the community. Thanks for watching. And as always, happy hunting. Would you like a version of this script optimized for visuals, captions, or on-screen text cues for YouTube editing? Hello, and welcome back to The Rarest Coins. Today we're going to explore one of the most fascinating stories in modern American coinage, the 1984 D. Washington quarter dollar. A coin that most people think is only worth 25 cents, but believe it or not, in one incredible case, a rare version of this coin has reportedly sold for as much as $1.2 million. That's right. $1.2 million for a quarter from 1984 minted in Denver. Sounds crazy, right? But there's real history and numismatic value behind the hype. So stay tuned as we break down the story, the coin's background, the valuable errors, and what makes one ordinary-looking quarter possibly worth a small fortune. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been part of U.S. currency since 1932, originally introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse side, was created by sculptor John Flanagan. For decades, the reverse of the coin featured a bald eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, a symbol of strength, readiness, and peace. Now let's focus on the 1984 D quarter specifically. The D stands for the Denver Mint, where over 546 million quarters were produced that year. With such a high mintage, the coin is incredibly common. You've probably seen dozens, if not hundreds, of them over the years. But here's the thing, among those millions, a few incredibly rare examples were struck with unique errors that can fetch jaw-dropping prices. In numismatics, it's all about the combination of rarity, demand, and condition. When those three things align, even a coin as common as the 1984 D quarter can become a collector's dream. So what makes the rare 1984 D quarter worth up to $1.2 million? Let's talk about that. The story begins with a rare mint error known as a double die obverse. This happens when the coin's design is stamped twice onto the same coin with a slight misalignment. This can result in visible doubling of letters, numbers, or even Washington's facial features. On the 1984 D quarter, doubling on the words Liberty or In God We Trust can significantly increase the coin's value. If the doubling is dramatic and the coin is in mint condition, you're looking at thousands of dollars at minimum. But it gets even more interesting. One particular 1984 D quarter became legendary in the coin collecting world. It was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning the metal blank used to create it was not the correct one for that year. Somehow, a silver planchet, which should have been phased out long before 1984, was used to strike this coin. That makes it not just rare, but almost unique. When this coin was discovered, it was sent for authentication and grading. It received a near-perfect mint state grade of MS68. That means it has virtually no wear, incredible strike quality, and full luster. Combine that perfect condition with the wrong metal composition and a rare Denver Mint error, and what you've got is one of the rarest modern U.S. coins ever found. Reportedly, this coin was sold in a private sale for an estimated $1.2 million. That's right, a single quarter, worth over $1 million, simply because of an error most people would never even notice. So how do you know if you might have a valuable 1984 D quarter in your collection? Here's what to look for. First, check the mint mark. Make sure you have a 1984 quarter with a D under the date. That's the Denver Mint. Then, examine the coin closely for doubling. Look especially at the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 1984. Any doubling could mean you're holding a double die, and that's worth serious money. Next, weigh the coin. A standard 1984 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly heavier or lighter, it could be struck on the wrong planchet, and that could mean thousands or even millions of dollars. Also pay attention to the coin's edge. It should have a reeded, copper-nickel clad look. If the coin looks silver all the way through, with no copper visible on the edge, it could have been struck on a silver planchet by mistake. That's rare and potentially worth a fortune. And finally, the condition of the coin plays a huge role. Coins in circulated condition might be worth a few dollars if they have errors, but mint state coins, especially those graded MS65 and above, can bring in hundreds or thousands. MS67 or MS68 with a major error. Now you're talking tens of thousands, or in one case, over $1 million. So the big takeaway here is this: never assume your coins are worthless. Millions of people use quarters every single day without ever thinking about what might be in their hands or in their pocket change. But just one rare minting mistake, one wrong planchet, one perfect condition error, and that little coin could be worth more than most cars or even houses. If you have a 1984 D quarter, pull it out, examine it closely, and consider getting it graded if you see anything unusual. And if you find one with dramatic doubling or strange metal coloration, contact a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and grade it, which is the first step to turning a quarter into a small fortune. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby. Sometimes, it's like playing the lottery, only the ticket costs just 25 cents. And that's it for today's video. If you found this interesting, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We cover rare coin finds, hidden treasures, and the surprising value behind everyday money. If you've ever found a valuable or unusual coin, drop your story in the comments below. We'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Would you like a version of this with suggested visuals or on-screen captions to match the pacing for editing? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing stories in U.S. coin collecting history, the 1980p Washington quarter dollar. That's right, a regular-looking quarter that might just be worth over $1.3 million. Sounds unbelievable? Let's find out what makes this coin so special and what you should be looking for in your pocket change.so first. Let's talk about the coin itself. The Washington quarter has been a mainstay of American currency since 1932. It was originally introduced to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design was created by John Flanagan, featuring a profile of Washington on the obverse, or front, and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. Now, the 1980p Washington quarter. The P mint mark stands for the Philadelphia Mint. That year, over 635 million of these quarters were struck, which makes it a common date in terms of mintage. So you might be wondering, how can a coin that's so common be worth over $1 million? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and most importantly, errors. Let's break it down. In the world of coin collecting or numismatics, coins with unique errors or those struck in perfect condition can command astronomical prices. In the case of the 1980p quarter, there have been a few examples discovered with incredibly rare minting errors that drive their value through the roof. Some of the most valuable versions of this coin include what's known as off-center strikes, double dies, and even wrong planchet errors. That means a quarter struck on a coin blank intended for a different denomination or even a different metal point. One of the rarest 1980p quarters was reportedly sold in a private auction for an estimated $1.3 million. This particular coin featured a dramatic double die obverse, extremely sharp details, and was struck on a 90% silver planchet that should not have been used in 1980. To top it all off, the coin was graded MS68 by a professional grading service. That means it was in near-perfect, mint state condition, almost flawless. To put that into perspective, most 1980p quarters in circulation are worth only face value, 25 cents. But if you happen to have one in pristine condition, or with one of these rare minting errors, you could be looking at hundreds, thousands, or even over $1 million in value. So how do you know if you have one of these rare coins? Here's what you need to look for. First, check the mint mark. If it's AP, you're on the right track. Next, examine the coin for any signs of doubling, especially on the date, the word liberty, and the phrase "in God we trust." Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to get a closer look. Any doubling could mean you have a double die, and that's worth getting checked by an expert. Next, look for unusual metal coloration or weight. If your 1980 quarter feels heavier or lighter than usual, or it has a strange tone, silverish instead of the standard copper-nickel, you might have a wrong planchet error. These coins can be extremely valuable. Also check the edges. A regular 1980 quarter should have a reeded edge with visible copper on the side. If your coin is missing that copper or looks like it's solid silver, that could be a huge clue that you're holding something special, and condition matters a lot. Coins graded MS65 or higher by a service like PCGS or NGC can fetch big money, even without major errors. So if your coin looks like it just came out of a mint roll, it might be worth sending in for grading. Now let's get into some real-world values. A regular circulated 1980p quarter is worth 25 cents. Maybe slightly more to a collector if it's in decent shape. A mint state version, say, MS65, might go for around $10 to $20. If you're lucky enough to have an MS67 example, you could be looking at several $100s. And with an error, like a double die or off-metal strike, prices can soar into the tens of thousands. But the holy grail is the ultra-rare combination of a major mint error, perfect condition, and a unique backstory. Like the $1 million example we talked about earlier. So what does this mean for you? It means don't ignore your pocket change. Start checking your quarters. If you see a 1980p, take a closer look. You never know what you might find. Coin collecting is one of the few hobbies where a little knowledge, a sharp eye, and a bit of luck can literally turn pocket change into a fortune. And before you toss that next handful of coins into a vending machine or donation jar, maybe take a second to look at the dates and mint marks. Your next $1 million find could be sitting in your pocket right now. That's it for today's video. If you learned something new or you're going to start checking your change a little more carefully, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more coin collecting tips, rare coin news, and hidden treasures you can find in everyday life. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare or valuable coin. I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Would you like a version of this script tailored for voiceover with pauses and tone, suggestions, or with visuals and timestamps for editing? Welcome back to the Rarest Coins. If you're someone who loves discovering valuable treasures in everyday life, or you've ever wondered if that handful of spare change in your pocket might be worth more than it seems, you're in the right place. Today's video is about a coin that shocked collectors around the world, the 1995 D. Washington quarter dollar. That's right, a regular-looking quarter minted in Denver in 1995 that ended up being worth an eye-watering $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A 25-cent coin turned into a $1.5 million windfall. How did this happen? Why is this coin so special? And most importantly, could you be holding one of these in your collection right now? Let's dig into the full story behind this fascinating coin, break down the history, the error, and everything you need to know to possibly spot one of these valuable quarters yourself. First, let's start with a bit of background. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It became an American icon and has remained in circulation ever since. The coin features a left-facing profile of Washington on the front, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, and for many decades, the reverse side displayed a bald eagle with wings spread, standing on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and peace. Fast forward to 1995. That year, the United States Mint produced over 1.1 billion quarters at the Denver Mint alone, marked with the D Mint mark under the date. The 1995 D quarter is common, incredibly common. Most are worth only face value. You've probably handled dozens of them in your lifetime without thinking twice. But here's the twist. Among those billions of coins, a very small number, possibly only one, was struck with a set of rare minting errors that turned a regular quarter into a one-of-a-kind piece of American numismatic history. And when that coin surfaced, collectors went wild. Oh, what exactly made this coin worth over $1.5 million? The value of this coin comes from a combination of three extremely rare and desirable traits. First, it was struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of the normal copper-nickel planchet used for quarters in 1995, this coin was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a $0.50. That means the size and weight were slightly off, and the coin had different metal characteristics. This type of mistake is called a transitional or off-metal strike, and it happens when a blank for one coin ends up in the press for another denomination. It's a rare and valuable error. Second, the coin showed a strong double-die error on the obverse. This is when the design is impressed more than once with a slight misalignment. On this quarter, there was visible doubling in the word liberty, the phrase "in God we trust," and the date 1995. Strong, clear doubling like this is rare and extremely valuable on its own. Third, and perhaps most critical to the value, the coin was discovered in nearly perfect condition. It was submitted to a top-tier grading service and received an MS-68 grade, Mint State 68, which is incredibly high. The surfaces were smooth, the strike was sharp, and the luster was full. Almost no flaws. And in the world of rare coins, condition can sometimes make the difference between $100 and $1 million. The combination of all three, an off-metal strike, a double-die error, and a high Mint State grade, made this 1995 D quarter unlike any other ever found. When it was brought to auction, it sparked an intense bidding war among elite collectors. And when the dust settled, the final sale price had soared to over $1.5 million. Oh, now the big question. Could you have one of these rare quarters in your possession? Here's exactly what to look for. First, check the date and mint mark. You're looking for a 1995 quarter with a small d under the year. That's the Denver Mint. That's step one. Next, weigh the coin if you can. A normal 1995 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is heavier or lighter, that's a red flag in a good way. It could mean it was struck on the wrong planchet. Now take a close look at the coin using a magnifying glass. Pay special attention to the word liberty, the motto "in God we trust," and the date 1995. If the letters or numbers look thick, shadowed, or like they've been stamped twice, you could have a double die. Also, inspect the edge of the coin. A standard quarter has a reeded edge with visible layers of copper and nickel. If your coin has a smooth edge or appears silver all the way through, that's another clue it might be a planchet error. And finally, assess the condition of the coin. If it looks clean, sharp, and almost new, that increases the value dramatically. Coins with little to no wear, full mint luster, and strong detail are candidates for grading and certification. If you think you've found something special, Do not clean the coin. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value. Instead, contact a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will authenticate and grade the coin for you. This is a critical step if you want to sell it or have it officially recognized as a rare specimen, even if you don't have the $1 million version, some 1995. D quarters with minor double die errors or off-center strikes have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially in mint state condition. So it's absolutely worth checking every quarter carefully. Coin collecting is one of the few hobbies where knowledge and attention to detail can literally pay off. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars to find something valuable. Sometimes all it takes is looking at the change in your pocket a little more closely. So before you spend that next quarter on a soda or drop it into a jar, stop and take a closer look. That little coin could be your ticket to a life-changing discovery. Thanks for watching today's video. If you learned something new or are now inspired to check every 1995 D quarter you come across, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We bring you rare coin discoveries, hidden treasures, and valuable tips every week. And if you've ever found a rare coin or have a story to share, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, happy collecting and good luck hunting. Let me know if you'd like a version of this script broken into sections with timestamps for YouTube editing, or if you'd like one adapted for a YouTube Shorts version.